This is The Difficulties of Professional Sports Compared to Regular Jobs by Hudson Cobus. Professional sports are more difficult than regular jobs because of three different reasons. The first being that when athletes feel stress from external sources such as family, friends, relatives, teammates, and opponents. The next being that the athletes need to be in peak physical and mental condition in order to perform at a high level at the sport that they play. The final reason being that poor play caused by criticism and stress leads to more criticism, high risk of injury, and possible early retirement. One of the reasons that sports are main arguments is that when athletes feel stress from external sources, they need to be able to take it and be in the best possible mental condition in order to deal with it and perform at a high level. This is supported by Stuart Biddle, who is a professor of physical activity and health. Biddle stated that beliefs of the purpose of the sport, mastery, fitness, and self-esteem, etc., have positive correlation with performance. This quote proves that when an athlete is having good criticism and good performance, he will perform well. However, when the opposite is true, the athlete performance will decline, the stress will go up, and he will not be able to perform at the level that he used to. The next reason that supports my arguments is that professional athletes are required to be in peak physical condition their entire careers. This is supported by Alexander Delal, who is a doctor of sports science and research doctor of education. Delal states that 20 international players played 20 amateur players. Heart rate, blood lactate, perceived effort perception, and physical performance were measured. In the end, the amateurs completed a lower percentage of passes, had a higher heart rate, and covered less distance than the pros. This proves my claim because professional athletes have to practice nonstop and constantly be focusing on the one sport that they play. They cannot have any off compared to amateurs or people who work regular jobs who will get vacation time and do not have to focus on just one thing, and they can do many different things with their time. The final reason that supports my main arguments is the claim that when pro players are overloaded with stress and criticism, their performance will decrease, leading to injury or early retirements. This reason is supported by David Aldridge, who is an analyst with The Athletic. Aldridge quoted Michael Jordan in a recent interview stating that, "Physically, I was exhausted. Mentally, I was way past exhausted." This quote proves that, while yes, physical performance is a very important part of the professional game, mental performance is a whole nother game that needs to be focused on just as much as the physical game. Another author who quoted a professional athlete stating how hard their sport was mentally was Tim Daniels, an analyst with ESPN, who quoted LeBron James stating that, "The level of scrutiny I was under, I just lost love for the game." This quote, he was quoted stating this after a tough loss in the NBA Finals to the Spurs, after he had recently left his hometown team. This quote proves that even though a player might be at the peak of their career, they can still undergo scrutiny and criticism from fans that either don't like him or think that he has not performed well in recent times. One final author who quoted a professional athlete stating how hard their game was mentally was Marcus Thompson, who quoted Simone Biles after she had dropped out of the Olympics. Biles was quoted stating, I was just fighting those demons. I didn't trust myself as much as I used to." These three quotes all have one thing in common. Athletes stating their opinion on why their sport is difficult mentally and how they might have lost love for the game. On the other hand, there's the belief that professional athletes have a job that is just as difficult or possibly even less difficult than normal jobs. This belief is supported by D.A. Webb, who is a member of the Center of Sports Med at St. Francis at St. Francis Memorial Hospital in San Francisco, California. Webb stated that the rate of injury is probably rather low compared to youthful activities considered safe. However, this idea is very easy to contradict, and this is proved by Jean-Marco Kiyoko, who has a PhD in sports science. Kiyoko stated that situational team sports, such as soccer, are complex activities involving a combination of physical, cognitive, tactical, and an ever-changing game environment that the pros need to adapt to. This quote takes down the counterclaim well, because it talks about how, while the rate of injury may be similar, the game environment is much different at a pro level compared to that of college, high school, and recreational. The pros need to be able to process information well and perform well under criticism and tough game environments. In conclusion, the solution that I came to is that professional sports are more difficult than normal jobs because of heavy workloads physically when it comes to practices and needing to be at the top of your game, heavy workloads mentally when it comes to having to deal with stress from external sources, and the pressure to perform and the need and ability to be able to comprehend the game quick and act under pressure.
Terrific. Thanks, Hudson. I got a couple of questions for you, and then we'll wrap up. So for the first one, how did your research question evolve from the beginning of the process all the way up to now?
So when I started, I'd only discussed one of the research questions in my, or I'd only discussed one of the arguments in my research question, and so I had to group all my arguments into the research question in some way, and so I decided that I would kind of combine them into one shorter research question.
Okay. And then as a follow-up to that, what are the implications of your findings to the broader community? Like, what should other students take from this idea?
Well, what other students could take from this idea is that if they are looking to become a professional athlete, they could possibly consider other jobs or continue on the path that they are heading down, whether they would like to have a more difficult job with a higher payout or an easier job with a little less payout.
Okay. Terrific. Thank you.